Hey, Tobias here from the Future Academy. And hey, today I want to share some ideas for how you can maximize the results of your business, how you can even double the revenue of your business in a very short time, let's say a couple of months or several months, depending on where you are. And I know that might sound a little confident, even borderline arrogant or cocky, but I have done it so many times and I want to explain why it's possible for most businesses. Now, if you're super streamlined and beefed up in all possible ways, you have so many ways that you have leveraged your business already, that might not be the case. But for 99%, I will claim that if I can walk into a business, I can help any business double their revenue in a few months. Now, 99%. That's pretty bold, I know, but let me tell you why I believe that and how I do it. If I walk into a company, if I start to do my analysis, my research, what I'm really looking for is the few essential things that will provide the greatest leverage, the greatest return in a business. That's very much in line with the 80-20 principle. I really kind of swear by that, by simplicity, by focus. So I'm going to start to look for those few leverage points that are going to have an exponential result for the business. That if you were to change a few things, what would those things be? Now, one of the things which I always want to understand is the number one thing that determines your revenue. There's only one way that you bring in cash into a business. There's one thing that has to happen. Now, you might already guess what that is. I'm going to tell you what it is. It's customer choice. There's no other way to bring in revenue into a company than through customers saying, I choose you over something else. Customer choice is everything to a business. And a lot of people, they start in the wrong places. But I always want to understand, who are you for? And, why should they choose you? And to answer that question, you could go into a number of sub-questions, which I talk about in some other videos. But really, what I want to start by is understanding, who is this company targeting and why should those customers, those prospects choose this company, this brand over something else? And so you do the research and you understand. There's something, by the way, that I learned from Jay Abraham. I just want to give credit where credit is due. He says there's only 3 ways that a company can generate revenue. And it's very true. So it all comes down to customer choice. That's not something he talks about. But what he talks about is you can increase the number of clients that you have. You can also increase the value of the sale. So, raising the prices, for example, how much they buy every time they buy. I mean, your customers, obviously. And thirdly, you can, increase the number of times that they buy, the frequency. So, for example, if you have a subscription model, how many times will customers buy? What is the customer lifetime value of a customer? So 3 ways: number of customers, value of the sale, and thirdly, how many times they buy. And, when you put this equation together, that's really how you generate your revenue. And those are really your growth opportunities are all related to one or more of these factors. But customer choice is the starting point. If they don't know you, they can't choose you. And the motivating factor that you need to figure out is, what is it really that they want, and how can you create an irresistible offer that makes them say, this is for me. And it's not like this is one out of a million choices. It's like, only this will do for me. That is the best place in business, to become the only choice. But anyways, so let's continue here. So, now we understand that customer choice is everything. There are only 3 ways that you can really increase the revenue. So this is going to be the starting point when you analyze your business and when you really think about how you can grow it. And remember, I said in the beginning, it's, it's really surprising how easy it is to spot the growth opportunities that would lead to doubling the revenue of practically any company. Now, let me explain what I mean by that. So when we dive into the business itself, one thing that is really frustrating to me is that, not that companies like lack a great offering or they're poorly positioned or all these other kind of common problems. That's a given pretty much. What really frustrates me is that when companies have a great offer, they're already in the business, but they're leaving kind of low-hanging fruit everywhere. And that's really what I want to kind of attack as the first thing, not to make things too hard and create a lot of new things and launch a whole new brand and a set of products or anything like that. Usually we want to understand like where's the low-hanging fruit. And typically what that could mean is like most companies will just miss these very fundamental things. Like they won't have a marketing process that they can, predictably, consistently rely on for bringing in fresh new leads, for example. Like I cannot believe how many companies don't have that in place. And so all you need to do, if this is your problem, is to really think about a simple process that you can repeat. And so you can start, gaining, new leads, new fresh leads coming in predictably and systematically. Now that would be one idea, but I want to leave you with something that you can do to workshop your own business. Now ask yourself, when it comes to branding and when it comes to marketing, what are 10 ideas that you could do, that you could implement, that you could change in your business right now that would help you with two things: making more, prospects choose you. That is the branding question, really, the offer and the branding. And how could more people know about you? How can you start creating relationships with those customers? Like if you can come up with 5 to 10 ideas with these two questions, you already probably have 1 or 2 or 3 things you can implement that is going to provide, maybe even double the amount of leads that you're generating. Now, if we move on, we think about the other part in that equation, which is like the value of the sale. Now, that, just to give you an example, is something that you can work with, really by taking a look at your offering. So how much are you charging for it? What is the price that you could be charging? And one of the easiest things that you can do to grow your revenue without having to change anything is to raise your prices. Now, I know you might be thinking, well, that's not possible. It's highly competitive and so forth. Yeah, exactly. If it is, maybe you're not well positioned enough. Maybe you're not, highly differentiated in your marketplace. And also, a lot of companies, a lot of entrepreneurs who are well differentiated, what they sometimes lack is the confidence to price themselves higher. And so you have to think about it this way. The only thing that matters when it comes to pricing is what is the perceived worth to the prospect. You shouldn't price based on the hours that you have at your disposal or your self-worth. That's a terrible idea. You should really price based on the worth to the customer. And you, of course, have to consider what other choices they have that can affect, how high you can go, basically. Now, that's another idea for you. Now, if we move on and we think about the sales side of things, so when we have created those leads, how well are you able to convert a lead and a prospect into a customer? Do you have a process in place for doing that? And how skilled are you at having a sales conversation? It's a very basic thing, but again, I'm just giving you these very fundamental things. And usually what I do with clients is I will just work on those essential few things that would move the needle the most. And so low-hanging fruit could just be, let's learn how to sell kind of without selling, which I think is the way to do it today. And so you want to show up as someone who's more like a doctor, someone who is able to really help your prospect do what is in their best interest. So that's going to be more of a question-based, consultative type of selling strategy for you. And also, you just need to have a very simple and good process where you can measure what you're doing and then you can improve as you go. Now, I know this is super simple. You probably heard this before, but I'm just going through some ideas that actually will help most companies double their sales in a few months. Now, if we really think about the third part of that equation that I said, Jay Abraham was the one who taught it to me. I don't know if he came up with it, but he's really famous for it. So 3 ways to generate revenue in your business. The third thing I talked about is the frequency of sales, how often customers come back. Now, here again, like, you could do a lot of different things. And I really ask you to, to spend some time to come up with ideas for different ways that you could get customers to come back and, for more. So that could be a business model question. It could be, what if you had a subscription service? That could really prolong the revenue, the customer lifetime cycle. That's one idea. So subscription model, super popular, very nice for cash flow, by the way. If you sell your business, subscription-based businesses have a multiple. People love those. Investors love them because it means your business is more predictable, right? Another idea could be that, instead of having a subscription business, you just think of the customer journey. So let's say your ideal client, your ideal customer, they typically have a job that they want to get done. And if you break down that job that they have in mind into different milestones, let's say if someone, just to give you a really simple example, if someone wants to be really fit, you could break down the process of becoming fit into different steps because you're kind of never really done, I guess. But we know that it's going to be about the workouts, it's going to be about the nutrition, it's going to be about the rest and recovery and those kinds of things. So if you created an offering in that space, you could create something which is more of an entry-level front-end type of offering, and then you could have a back-end offering. You could have several back-end offerings. But really what I'm talking about is like, if you think of their journey from where they are to where they ultimately want to be, and you mirror that journey in terms of your offerings, now you have something where you can start to really increase the customer lifetime value of a customer. Now, that's going to be great because as you bring in new customers, you typically have a client acquisition cost. And when you, consider the math here, what is really beautiful is that when you bring in a new customer and you pay off that client acquisition fee, now if you upsell them on 1, 2, 3, or more times, there is no client acquisition cost typically, or it's very, very low. So anyways, I wanted to give you some ideas and I know that's kind of plenty for one video like this, but there are so many leverage points in your business right now. And, this is really what we do at the Future Academy inside our programs. We have one for expert entrepreneurs, which is called Business Breakthrough. We have a lot of different other programs as well. You can find them at thefutureacademy.com. But really, the essence of it is that if you walk inside any business and, take your business, for example, and you start to analyze, going back to the very core of who do we want to choose us and why should they choose us? And then you start to really analyze the different ways that you generate revenue. And then you start to look at what you're doing. Is it working? Are you measuring it? What are different ideas where you could boost and grow the stuff that you're doing? How could you automate some parts of it? Can you start to spend more money on ads, for example, to generate more and more leads so that you can then, really use your sales skills to convert at a higher rate, a higher conversion rate, so that you can then, deliver great service with a good operating system at the core, which is going to give you a lot of profitability and efficiency, by the way, which is a subject for another video. And then as you do that, when you have more satisfied customers, then that's going to be great for referrals, for testimonials, for getting in new clients at low or zero client acquisition cost. And then finally, how can you, have a higher customer retention, how you can sell them on more for a longer time, all with the intention of helping them get to where they want to go. Anyway, so that was, that was a lot for one video, and I hope that you take at least one of those ideas and start to implement them, and you might just start seeing some breakthrough results. As I said, as I promised, if I were to walk into your business, you give me the chance to really get a good touch for what's going on, and I would pull some levers, help you implement some strategies, and you would double your sales. That's a promise. Like, okay, there's probably 1% that doesn't apply for, but for all the rest, it does. And if this is something you'd like to talk about, by the way, if you'd like some advice for how we do that at the Future Academy, just follow the links below and book a free consultation with one of our great top world-class advisors who are trained to look for those questions for really making an assessment about where you are, where you want to be and what's standing in your way, and how potentially we could work together to help you at least double your business in the next months or whatever your goal is. Anyways, thanks so much for watching, and see you next time.